This is your no-nonsense guide to the first ever Outbreak main quest Easter egg. I've separated the guide into different chapters which can be accessed via the YouTube description, and before we actually talk about step 1, I need to discuss a few things that you'll want to have set up before you jump into your game, specifically making sure that you've upgraded all your skill tiers, etc. as much as you can, but also more importantly, making custom blueprint mods for the weapons that you intend to use in the boss fight, so that let's say you're playing and you find a version of your weapon that's a higher rarity than the one that you're currently holding, you can just swap over to it, apply your blueprint, and thus keep all your attachments, and just basically get an extra rarity for free. In terms of what weapons to use, at the time of posting this video, the meta is kind of a shotgun and then something like an M16 or a Farah or potentially an AUG. They're all really powerful options, and you can use a ray gun that you find in the game, of course, if you want to as well, but just in terms of the most powerful guns to use, I would say that those are kind of my top picks. I personally prefer the Gallo over the Howler right now, but that's kind of personal preference. With that said, I'm now going to run through that kind of checklist that you can work through as you play. And of course, some of these, if you don't have them by the end, you can just buy them or craft them or whatever you need to do. But here are the things to be looking out for to save money, salvage, etc. If you see any zombies drop monkeys, grab those. We'll save those for the boss fight. You'll definitely want to hang on to any death machines that you find, as well as any self-revives, of course. Making sure you fully upgrade your armor and triple pack your weapon, as well as getting gold rarity on it, is pretty much essential. And for ammo mods, I like to put cryo on my shotgun and then brain rot on whatever my AR or tactical rifle is, so my M16, for example, would get the brain rot. In terms of field upgrades, you can obviously swap those as you play, so for the beginning of the game, I'd say use whatever you're comfortable with. One last thing to note is that this is a tricky Easter egg. It is not easy, so over-preparing is better than under-preparing, and if you're in solo, you may want to check out some of my other videos that I'll link below that are more focused towards solo-specific players to make sure that you can beat this without any difficulty. The very last thing I'll say before we get started is I encourage you to do all of the side quests on all of the world tiers as you play through. So World Tier 1, do all of those orange objectives on your map, and then on World Tier 2, you're going to want to do the same thing, and basically rinse and repeat, because that loadout that I've just described to you is expensive to get, and doing those side quests is the best way to get prepared and get all the resources that you need. With all of that said, we can talk about step 1 of the Outbreak main quest Easter egg, and that's just to get to World Tier 3. So do those side quests, get your upgrades started, and then when you arrive on World 3, you can start looking around for a transmission radio. It's a little metal box that looks like this, and obviously, depending on what map you're on, it's going to be in a different place. So I'm going to run through the spawn locations on each of the different maps now, and you can just choose the one that corresponds to your game. Let's start with Alpine. It can be found in the steep grove area next to the kind of gas tanks type thing. This is what it looks like in Alpine. In Sanatorium, it's going to be in this area here, underneath the big circular building, just next to the statue, like at the statue's feet. In Dugga, it's going to be at the Sam site near the defend objective, where that's going to spawn in. And as you can see, this is what it looks like. This is its spawn location. In Ruka, it's going to be in this green tent just here, quite near to where the Pack-a-Punch can spawn in. It'll just be on the side here. And finally, on Golova, the radio is in this field, on top of this kind of wooden structure thingamabob in this area here. Also, it's much easier to find these if you have subtitles on in your game, so make sure you turn them on, and then you'll basically get a subtitle notification as soon as you're in the right area to find the radio, and it will also be useful in a minute as well, so make sure you do that. Also, if you look in the location that I've just described in the map that you're on, and you just can't find it, honestly, it's not the end of the world if you just go to the next round and try again in whatever your next map is. It's basically just from round 3 onwards that these things are going to spawn in for you, but make sure you're getting the correct radio, because there are other radios that will spawn in other parts of the world that will give you an orange icon on your map when you're near them, and they look pretty much identical to this, but they're for a music Easter egg. They're not what we need here. We need the ones that I've just described in the locations that I've listed. When you find the radio, hold square on it, and it will spawn a load of zombies in and play an alarm sound. Take them down, wait for the alarm to end, and then the sound will change to some other noise. It might sound like Morse code, it might sound like some kind of grumbling or rumbling sound, and your subtitles should tell you a number, so it will say like signal number 3 or something. You're now going to need to find 3 more radio boxes and tune those to match the signal that we've just listened to from that original box. However, when you find one and hold square on it to start flicking through the different frequencies, you may also trigger another alarm sound which will spawn a load of zombies in, so be ready for more action. The alarm will last the same amount of time, and then you'll be able to just flick it onto whatever signal you need to match. I'm going to list 3 radio spawns on each map here. There there is a small chance that there are some missing extra spawns that can randomly appear. And if that's the case and my list is not exhaustive, I will list them in the description down below. But you should also be able to find them pretty easily just by looking for those subtitles to appear in the rough vicinity of your original radio. In Alpine, there are two in kind of rocky outcrops. One is going to be just here, as you can see. Just going to make sure you guys can see this nice and clearly. A second is also going to be, like I said, rocky outcrop in this area here, fairly nearby to that original radio location, of course. And the third is going to be just here, as you can see. Those are your 3 Alpine spawns. On a Sanatorium, you have a really easy job finding these things. One is going to be at the kind of base of this area here, as you can see, next to this monument looking thing. Another is going to be at the base of this tower, as you can see just here. And finally, the third is going to be just up here on the kind of stairs area, but on this like ledge thing, so you have to mantle up to it or drop down to it. On Dugga, our 3 locations are going to be just here, as you can see in my game. The second location, and by the way, you can do these in any order. Second location is going to be this one just here. And finally, the third Dugga location is going to be just here. This is your final radio, so get those tuned up. On Ruka, this is going to be your first spawn over here in this kind of housey looking area. The second spawn is going to be going kind of across this area here, and then just here you should be able to find it. And the third is going to be going a little further still towards this housing area. You should be able to find it just here. And on Golova, the first radio is going to be just here. Then the second radio is going to be findable just here. And the third radio is going to be just a bit further along, just here. Once you've finished tuning all 3 of the boxes in your map to match the original radio that we activated, you need to run back to the original radio. And if you've done it correctly, you should be able to hold square on it now to listen to the full transmission. If you can't do that yet, you still have a radio somewhere in the area that you haven't tuned to the correct frequency. When you listen to the full transmission, you'll get some points and a yellow item will drop. It's a little ball that you can pick up, and you need to bring this to the beacon that would normally warp you through to the next world. Except when you activate the beacon, you're going to get a new option appearing, which is going to let you call someone, and Samantha Maxis is going to then talk to you. It won't instantly teleport you when you click call or anything like that, so you can do call and then you can go and do other side quest objectives in this current world tier if you want to. But when you're ready to move on, warp to the next world and you'll then be on the next step of the Easter egg. Now, technically, you can start this next step of the Easter egg in that next world tier you warp to, and everything will be just fine. But I actually recommend you go an extra world or 2 here before starting it, just because when you run through everything in this next step, the world after that will be the final world in your game, and it's on that final world that we'll do boss fight and all that stuff. So make sure as you move on here that you're getting pretty close to achieving that final endgame loadout that I described at the start. When you're ready for that next step, whether it's 1 warp after calling Maxis or multiple, you're going to want to run around and look for a stone monkey. When you find the monkey, you need to shoot it or knife it, and if it's the correct one, it should have an M next to it as well, and it will drop an item for you to pick up. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's run through all 4 locations on each map for all those spawns right now. On Alpine, a monkey can be found here in the hillside cabins area, as you can see. There's also a monkey in the bathhouse area of the map, which you can see in the gameplay just here. You can also find a monkey in the first aid station area, and that's going to be just here. And the 4th monkey is in the base suites, I believe it's called, and this is what it's going to look like just here. On Sanatorium, one of the monkeys is just here near the kind of bridge area. Another monkey is going to be found in the bathhouse area, just here. 3rd monkey spawn is in the hills area, as you can see just about here. And the final monkey spawn is going to be in the administration area of the map, which is just here. On Dugga, the first monkey spawn is going to be in the bunkers area, just here. This one can be a little confusing because there are so many bunkers, but make sure you're in the same one that I am in. The second monkey spawn is going to be just here in the kind of hilly clearance area. And the 3rd monkey spawn is going to be just here in the kind of base entrance area of the map. And the last monkey spawn for Dugga is going to be just here. On Ruka, the first monkey spawn is going to be in the cargo platform area, as you can see just here. The second monkey spawn is going to be in this location, the silo outskirts, just here. The 3rd monkey spawn is in the gorge area of the map, just here. And the 4th potential monkey spawn is going to be in the train trestle area, just here. Finally, on Golova, the first monkey spawn is going to be just here in the train loading area. The second monkey spawn is inside the church, right at the top of the ladder. The third monkey spawn is going to be in the industrial park area. And finally, the fourth monkey spawn is in the horse ranch area, just here. Like I said, when you find your monkey and it's got an M next to it, that's the correct one. Shoot it, grab the part that it drops, and you then need to find a projector. Now, there are projectors on all maps apart from Ruka. So if you're on Ruka right now, just go to the next map. You may need to re-find your monkey to grab the slides, but I don't believe so. And so assuming you're not currently on Ruka, but you have found your monkey and got your projector slides, I'll now run through the projector locations. On Alpine, the projector is in the top right of the top floor Pack-a-Punch room kind of area of the map, as you can see just here. In Sanatorium, you're going to be looking for the projector just here. I think that this is the admin room, or at least it's the conference room or something like that. And confusingly, in Duga, the projector is also in the administration building, as you can see in the gameplay just here. And finally, on Golova, the armor building, which I think is also like a police station maybe, is going to be the location of the projector spawn. And when you find the projector in your game, make sure that it's the correct one, because there are other projectors that are like generic. We don't want those. We want the ones that I'm showing you in the gameplay here. Run over to it and you should be able to hold square to enter your projector slides that you got from the monkey, and Samantha will then talk to you, and after about 20 seconds you need to hold square again, and you do this 3 times to exhaust all of Samantha's quotes, at which point she will then tell you that next you need to head to Ruka. This means you are now about to step into the final world tier of your game. So if there's anything you want to do here in order to maximize your preparation, absolutely do it. Do those side quests, but then when you're ready for the final map of your game, go over to your beacon, hit warp, and you'll load into Ruka. Once you load in, the main objective that you'd normally see indicated by a star is actually going to lead you to an elevator shaft instead of a traditional objective. When you bring your whole team into the elevator shaft and you hold square on the panel in there, it will drop you down in a lift into a totally new area of the map, and there is no coming back once you go down that elevator. It does have stuff like Pack-a-Punch and all that sort of stuff down there because it's not quite the boss fight itself just yet, but you can't get back to the normal world once you go down the elevator. Once you've gone down the elevator with your team, your next objective is to find Ravenov. To help make this easier, I'm going to give you a quick outline of the kind of layout of this new space that we are in. There are 3 different circular areas here, each of which has a lower level, which you're currently on when you spawn in, and an upper level, which you can take the stairs to or you can rappel to. These 3 circular areas are connected by a hub area, which can be accessed via the top level of each of the circles, and each circular area also has a letter which corresponds to it, A, B, or D. So when you spawn in, you'll be on the lower level. You want to go into that main circular area and then go up so that you're on the upper level of your circle. And then across the hub area, only one of the routes will be fully open, so you'll only be able to go one way at this point. So go through into the kind of opposite area and then go back down, and you should be able to find a terminal that is going to allow you to turn off the lockdown sequence. And that is basically us finding Ravenov when you activate that. A cutscene will then play, which I won't be showing you now, but I've got it on my channel. And then you'll have 3 keys that you need to grab. You'll also now have all 3 of your different circular areas opened up, so you can run into each of them as you so see fit. And each one of them also has one of your perk stations or Pack-a-Punch, etc. in the top level inside a little hut. You can also find a crafting bench in the hub area in the top middle. So we need those 3 keys. Now the first one is going to spawn in at literally like 50 mimics, so having brain rot on your weapon here will make this infinitely easier. I highly recommend it. When you've got brain rot, come to the hub area and go down this corridor that you can see here, and there'll be a guy at the end chilling down there which you can grab a key from. But when you do so, it's actually going to turn into a red mimic, and you need to take that red mimic down. But obviously there's a million other mimics here, so take them down too. And when you've managed to successfully kill the red mimic, you'll find that that will then drop you your first key for you to pick up. For the second key, let's head into the area labeled A, go all the way to the bottom of A, and then look for a circular kind of tunnel entrance, which should kind of be lit up red. And inside there at the bottom, on the left-hand side, you should see an essence trap with a banana taped onto it, and you need to hold square on that to pick it up. And you then need to move around inside that area and listen out for the sound of a weird kind of animal noise, and look for a blue spectral kind of glow that will come out of one of the vents. Now, it's easy to get this confused with the electricity in the area, but keep your distance from the vents because otherwise you'll scare off the monkey, and look for something that looks like what I'm showing you in the gameplay just here. If you accidentally shoot the monkey or you cause it to despawn for whatever reason, just keep looking around the area and you should then be able to find it respawning in a very similar spot in a vent. You need to find the monkey, but don't go too close to it, and then throw your essence trap on the floor in front of wherever the monkey's vent is. You then need to back up, and that will lure the monkey out. The monkey will think it's safe, and it will jump onto the essence trap, at which point you can double tap square and use your essence trap to trap the monkey inside. This might take you a few attempts because it can be a little fiddly, but make sure you're keeping your distance from the monkey, and you should do this pretty easily. And once the monkey has been successfully sucked into the essence trap by double tapping square, it will then just turn into a key, and you can grab that by holding square. The final key requires collection of crystals in area B. To begin with though, we need to run to this red canister box looking thing on the ground floor and activate it. We'll then be able to run around inside area B, and if you see crystals on the wall, you can shoot them, and they'll drop little tiny crystals that you can then run over and pick up. You need 20 total, it's shared inventory across your team, and the crystals that you shoot will respawn. There are some on the top level and the lower levels, so just keep collecting those crystals until you have 20, and as you go, you can go back to that red box that we activated a second ago and deposit them in there by holding square. And it's not instant, it takes a little bit of time for them to deposit, so make sure you stay safe here. Maybe use an ether shroud to deposit a lot of crystals and things like that. But once you've eventually deposited 20, you will then be able to hold square on the canister and then wait 30 seconds where it basically does like a little animation thing. It will be inactive for a moment, and then when it's finished its animation and you've waited long enough, you'll be able to pick up the filled canister and run with it all the way into area D. Inside area D, you'll see a massive jellyfish, and you need to go next to the jellyfish on the part of the stairs that I'm standing on here with the grass on it, and then use the canister special ability with your triggers probably on console, and basically blast the jellyfish. And if you're standing in the right spot on the grass next to the jellyfish, you'll basically float into the air at this point and go inside the jelly, and it's inside the jelly that you can grab the last key by holding square. You're then on the very last thing that you're going to be doing before the Easter egg, so make sure you've got everything else that you want to do in your game done at this point. Remember the checklist that I mentioned at the start of the video, you can flick back to it if you need to, and then you're going to basically run and activate a certain machine in each of the areas A, D, and B in a certain order. Now for me, my preference is to do A, D, B as my order first. Some people get different orders. If it says to you that you put in the wrong order here with what I'm about to explain, then just change up your order until it works for you, but A, D, B seems to be the most commonly working thing for me. What this all means is you're going to run into the A area and come up to this machine that I'm showing you here and hold square on it to enter your key, and you'll then be on a 45-second timer to run into the D area and go to the same machine in the D area and activate that with a key as well, and then from there run all the way through to the B area and activate the third and final machine. And activating that third machine, by the way, will literally start a timer on the boss fight. You are timed in taking the boss down, so as soon as you activate that third key card, you'll see a load of quotes will start playing, and you'll need to run to that main hub area on the top floor that I've been talking about, but then go up the stairs that are in there. So don't go down A, B, C, or D corridors, just go up the stairs, and there is a door there that you can hold square on to enter the boss fight arena. Do not dilly-dally, time is of the essence, enter the boss fight arena, and let me explain how it works before you go, because oh boy, this one is a doozy. I'll give you an outline of the basic mechanics first, and then I'll give you a strategy for how to do this more easily. The boss is a very heavily armored Tempest, and you need to break its armor in order to reach the damage phase of the fight, which basically consists of 3 bulls that spawn in, and you focus fire on one of the bulls, and if you break the bull, it will take away a third of the boss's health. You obviously then need to rinse and repeat this 3 times, break the armor again, destroy the next bull, etc, etc, and the boss will then be dead after all 3 bulls are gone. It sounds straightforward, but breaking the armor is really tough, and so I'm going to outline a strategy here that I think is really effective for this. If you're in 2-player, you're going to have 1 player with Frenzied Guard and the other with Ring of Fire. If you're in 3-player, you're going to have 2 Rings of Fire and 1 Frenzied Guard, and if you're in 4-player, you're going to have 2 Rings of Fire and 2 Frenzied Guards. You're also going to want to make sure that all your teammates have monkeys if possible, because that makes this a lot easier, especially if you have fewer players in your game. I'll continue my example here using the 4-player scenario, but you can easily convert down to the team comps that I just described and do basically the same thing, just slightly altered. So let's go 4-player first. You've got 2 with Frenzied and 2 with Ring of Fire. When your team spawns in, do as much damage to the boss as you possibly can in those first 30 seconds before the zombies spawn. And then once the zombies spawn in, you're going to want to try and just keep beaming the boss, and if you need to, have one of your players throw a monkey, and this should be enough of an opportunity for you to successfully break the boss's armor for the first time, especially if you're using death machines already at this point. Once the boss takes a knee and those bulls spawn in, that's the damage phase being active, you're going to have one person pop their Ring of Fire with all the team standing in it to do boss damage, and another person pop their Frenzied Guard, which is going to attract all the zombies to them and also make them invulnerable. This means you can do loads of boss damage without having to reload, you'll be uninhibited by zombies, and if your weapons are strong, you should be able to beam one of those bulls completely down to 0 health and knock the boss's health down. But make sure you're focus firing all on the same bull. So I normally start with the bottom bull and then move to the ones on the sides, right first and then left. Once the boss stands up, whether or not you manage to destroy one of its bulls, you're going to have those 2 players that just used their ring and their frenzied starting to get kills in order to recharge them, and the other 2 players that still have their field equipment unused are going to be the ones that are mainly focusing on doing boss damage here. You'll chip the boss down, remember that you've got monkeys, and that's going to make your life a lot easier, and then when you successfully knock the boss down for a second time, at this point, the 2 people that have their charges still for their field upgrades are going to use theirs, so 1 Ring of Fire and 1 Frenzied Guard, and everyone is going to just lay into the boss, and you're going to be really focusing on doing as much damage with those M16s in the Ring of Fire as you can. Also, a pro tip for tac rifles is if you're further away, you'll actually do more damage if you've got that skill upgraded in the skill tiers. So do as much damage to those bulls as you can, and hopefully at this point you'll be able to pop the first one, and the boss will then stand back up, and you can get ready to bring its armor down again for the next damage phase. Now, this is the point where your first pair of people should start to be pretty close to getting their charges back, but if you're still struggling, just throw another monkey, and you may find that you can do another entire damage phase just relying on monkeys, or maybe one person having a Frenzied Guard or something like that. It starts to become a kind of give and take where if you're really far away from getting your charges, you should just do it with monkeys, and if you're pretty close to having your charges, then you should try and make sure that you Ring of Fire Frenzied Guard in order to maximize your damage output. If you start to run out of ammo, there is an ammo station in the area, so you can go and buy some, but obviously it's expensive, so bear that in mind. And make sure you're using your death machines in order to take the boss's armor down as well. I've also seen some people really relying on chopper gunners here, but I'm a personal fan of the death machine. And like I said, once you take those 3 bulls down, you finish the Easter egg, and remember to grab the intel that's going to drop on the floor right before the cutscene plays. Don't miss out on that, or you'll have to do the Easter egg all over again. But whether you grab the intel or not, you've now done the Easter egg. Congratulations. This has been your MrRoflWaffles no-nonsense guide. Drop a like if you've enjoyed, and if you find any parts of this difficult, leave a comment, and I'm sure other people can help you, and also check the description for more helpful and useful tips.